You know, it's funny how the most incredible stories don't always start with some huge, earth shattering event. Sometimes they begin with something really simple, a basic human need that sets off a chain of events no one could ever see coming.
So, get this. What does a vengeful ghost need from a homeless man? I know, it sounds like this setup to a punchline, right? But believe me, that question is at the very heart of this entire mystery. It's a setup that promises a story where the world of the living and the dead collide in the most unbelievable way. Okay, so before we get to any ghosts, we gotta meet our hero. And his story doesn't kick off with some grand quest or noble cause. It starts with a problem so basic, so human, that most of us just take it for granted every single night. I mean, that's it. This guy wasn't after fame, he wasn't looking for fortune. After a long, hard day, all he wanted was to find a quiet little corner on the pavement, a small piece of ground to just rest his head. And that one simple desire? Well, that's what kicks this whole story into gear. But even that was too much to ask. A local shopkeeper, annoyed that he's trying to sleep in front of his store, just shoos him away, even threatens to call the cops. So now what? He's got nowhere to go, just cast out and searching for any little bit of shelter he can find. And his search leads him to, well, the one place most of us would probably avoid after dark, a cemetery. But for him, it's not about being scared. It's a potential safe haven. It's quiet, it's empty, and hey, no angry shopkeepers. But, as you can probably guess, that quiet graveyard has its own secrets. So he's just getting settled, and then a sound cuts right through that dead silence. It's the unmistakable sound of someone weeping coming from deep inside the graveyard. He calls out, asking who's crying in there, and when he gets no answer, his curiosity just gets the better of his fear. He decides he's got to go investigate. So he ventures in, and what he finds is a ghost. I mean, his first reaction is pure terror, exactly what ours would be. He turns to run, to just get out of there. But as he tries to flee, she stops him. Her name is Nancy, and she doesn't want to hurt him. She needs his help. And this, right here, is where the whole story pivots. So Nancy tells him her story. She says she was murdered, and the person responsible was the one person she trusted most in the world, her own husband, Christopher. He's the villain of our story, and the target of a ghost's desperate plea for justice. And just like that, our hero's simple search for a place to sleep is completely transformed. He is now, believe it or not, a messenger for the dead with a mission that's going to take him straight into the lion's den. And her plan, wow, it is so specific, it'll give you chills. He isn't supposed to threaten or accuse him. He just has to deliver one terrifying sentence. A message designed to prove that Nancy's spirit knows exactly how she was killed and where the evidence is still hidden. And crazily enough, our hero agrees. He finds the house, somehow manages to sneak past the guards, and makes his way into Christopher's room. What happens next is the climax of this whole strange affair. He delivers the line perfectly, and the effect? It is immediate. Christopher, this guy who's been living with his dark secret, just completely unravels. That message wasn't just a threat, it was proof that his crime wasn't buried. It was literally haunting him. His guilty conscience just goes into overdrive. He can't comprehend how this message got to him. In his paranoia, he becomes convinced that Nancy's ghost must be real and that she's tormenting him from her grave. So he speeds over to the cemetery, determined to confront the spirit himself. When he gets there, he hears the crying again. Convinced it's Nancy, he just breaks down completely. In his terror, he shouts his confession into the empty night air, screaming that he killed Nancy himself with his own hands by giving her poison. His own guilt becomes his undoing. And with that confession, we get the motive. And it wasn't about love or some crime of passion. Nope, it was just cold, calculated greed. He murdered Nancy simply to inherit all the wealth that her father had rightfully left to her. Now, Christopher's confession, shouted into the darkness, it wasn't unheard of. And the justice that followed wasn't entirely supernatural. You see, this story has one final, brilliant twist. That crying sound that lured Christopher to the grave, that wasn't Nancy's spirit. It was our hero, cleverly mimicking the sound of weeping. He used Christopher's own guilt and paranoia to spring the perfect trap.
I mean, when you put these two men side by side, the contrast couldn't be starker. You have Christopher, who was driven by greed, which led to his own downfall. And then you have our hero, who was driven by a simple desire to help someone, and his reward was something far more valuable than money.
In the end, Nancy's spirit appears to him one last time, and his reward for this incredible act of bravery isn't cash or gold. It's the very thing he was looking for at the start of this whole story, a safe place to sleep. She tells him he's protected, that he can sleep there peacefully. He didn't just find shelter, he found a sense of belonging.
So when you really think about it, this wasn't just a story about a ghost. It was about how guilt can be a more powerful prison than any graveyard. It's about how a man with nothing used a killer's own conscience as a weapon, proving the surprising power of the powerless. And it really makes you ask, what is the true value of a single act of kindness?